Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Jamison, and this is how I cook. You saw the thumbnail. We are making sausage. That's right, homemade sausage. It's easier than you think, and I'm gonna show you how I put together my recipe coming up next on This Is How I Cook. Okay guys, before we get too far into talking about the ingredients, do me a favor, hit that subscription button and turn on those notifications so that you guys can see when I post new recipes to the channel. I use 2 cuts of meat when I make sausage. I'm using pork belly. This is where we get our bacon from. And I'm using pork butt. You know, pork shoulder, Boston butt, picnic if you want to say that. But I use these 2 different cuts of meat because they have different fat content. The pork belly has a higher fat content, which gives me the ability to boost the amount of fat that goes into my sausage. Sausage needs a certain amount of fat in order for it to taste the way that you want it to taste, and that's why I use 2 different cuts. Over here, we have our natural hog casings. This is what we're gonna stuff the sausage grind into to form our sausage. This is Legg's custom blended seasonings. They're pork sausage seasoning blend number 10. This contains enough seasoning to produce up to 25 pounds of sausage. So you have to weigh the amount of meat that you guys are gonna put into your sausage to see exactly how much of this seasoning you need. Also, I'm gonna use some crushed red pepper flake because I want a hotter blend of sausage this time. And then lastly, I'm gonna use a little bit of accent to boost the flavor profile of my sausage. So when you're working with your sausage, you want to make sure that it is very, very cold. This will help the sausage grind better and give you a better texture of sausage. So I've got my seasoning blend measured out here, and so I'm going to just begin to shake this onto the meat, and we want to try to get an even distribution of the pork belly and the pork shoulder. This is so that our fat will be better distributed throughout the sausage as well. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit of this red pepper flake. Now this is up to you. You don't even need this, but this is for my taste. So I'm gonna be fairly aggressive with this. Not too aggressive because I don't want it to be too hot, but I wanna have a nice peppery blend of sausage. And then lastly, a tap of this accent. Once again, you don't need this because that seasoning blend has everything in it that you need, but I'm gonna put enough of this in here just to make my sausage stand out a little bit in terms of the flavor profile. I'm gonna post a general sausage blend recipe so that you guys can have what goes into making a good sausage seasoning. I'm not gonna promise it's gonna be as good as this product that I'm using, but it's what I'm going to share with you so that you guys can have a starting point in case you don't have access to a sausage seasoning blend like the one I have here from Legg's. Okay, we've got our sausage seasoned up. The next thing we gotta do is grind this and stuff this into the casing. Okay, so I took my sausage grinder attachment for my KitchenAid mixer out of the freezer. And the reason I keep it in the freezer is so that everything is super cold, once again, to help the texture of the sausage as it grinds. So I'm gonna take my natural hog casing here, and I'm gonna slide the tip of the casing over the nozzle of my grind attachment. You just wanna take your time here and do this. Because it's so cold, it may want to try to stick, but just take your time and slide it on. And then it'll start going, just like that. Now at the very end here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie a knot so that my sausage won't come out of the end of the casing. So just tie a simple knot into the casing, tie a knot, just like that into the casing, and now we slide it all the way on. So I'm gonna switch on my mixer on a low setting, And what I'm gonna start doing is using my stuffing tube to feed my meat into this opening here on my grinder. And so remember, I've got two types of meat here, so I'm gonna look for some of my pork shoulder and some of my pork belly so that I can get a pretty even distribution of fat as I grind the sausage. And you use the stuffing tube to push the sausage through. And you can see here at the tip that the meat's coming out. And so you just give it a good push. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going to try to control the flow of this meat into the casing. By applying a little bit of pressure here at the very tip. And so as it grinds, I'm able to form a link as it goes through. Now some people, they don't turn their sausages into links. I like to do that. So what I'm gonna do is, this is about as long as I want my link to be. So I take and pinch and I twist. Now I'm twisting counterclockwise. And I twist and twist and twist. And there's our first sausage link. The next link, I'm gonna twist clockwise. I'm gonna twist the opposite direction. That way, as it twists, it helps keep the other twist tight. So the first twist, whatever direction you go, whether you go clockwise or counterclockwise, you've got to go the opposite on the next twist. That's about right. I'm gonna pinch and twist in the opposite direction. And that's our second link of sausage. And at this point, you know, depending on how much meat you have, you're done. But I've got about 4 pounds here to do. So I'm going to show you guys what this looks like by finishing this up. But that's pretty much it. So when you get to the end of your casing, you can just slide it off and then just take your time like this and give it one final twist on the end. And then you just make you a knot. Okay guys, I'm gonna take a moment and let my mixer have a chance to cool down and rest a bit. I'm gonna give you a few tips here that I wanna share with you about how to make sausage. The first tip is, when you're actually going through cutting up your pork, your beef, whatever you're making sausage out of, whether it's chicken or anything, you wanna remove the gristle. The gristle is that tough connective tissue that's in between the different layers of muscle in whatever piece of meat that you're using. That won't grind. And if it does grind, it's gonna really overwork your motor on whatever device you're using, whether it's a dedicated grinder or, in this case, my KitchenAid mixer. So you wanna remove that from your pieces of meat that you're gonna grind into sausage. Also, if you're making a blend of seasonings from scratch, you're using a recipe, and you're unsure about, hey, is this salty enough? Is this flavored the way you want it to be flavored? What you can do is take some of the raw sausage outside the casing, cook it in a skillet, and once it's done, hey, you can taste this to see exactly if it's to your liking. If it's under seasoned, add more seasoning to your overall batch, and then grind a little bit, taste it and see how you like it. It's really that simple. if you want to make patty sausage, that is sausage outside the casing that you have to form and shape with your hand, just do the grinding that you see me doing, but don't use the natural hull casings. It's just that simple. Guys, thank you again for watching This Is How I Cook. I'm Jamison, and I appreciate you watching and supporting my YouTube channel. Do me a favor, hit that subscription button on your way out and turn on those notifications. I would eat some of this sausage in front of you, but I don't have any of it cooked because it's all raw and I've still got another batch to finish making up. But I hope you've learned something about how to make sausage at home. Don't be scared, it's really easy. If you have a KitchenAid mixer, you're already halfway there. Get you a grind attachment and get you some pork, get you some beef, get you some chicken, lamb, whatever, and get to grinding some sausage. You guys take care.